Okay, welcome back to Tapinar time. This is Talk and Tap, and I'm just so honored and privileged once more to have Kandiee Campbell with me. We're kind of cohorts in crime when it comes to tapping. We love to work with it and share it with people and our clients. And so, Kandiee, if you have not seen her before, she has an amazing podcast radio show called Awakening Hope, available pretty much everywhere you can get your podcasts. We'll put that in the notes below as I post this later. But we're just coming together to demonstrate a little bit more about how you can use this amazing mind-body tool called tapping, or EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. So before we started chatting about the idea that we keep realizing that not everybody knows what this is. And often they'll say, well, what the heck is that? What's that about? And I know for myself, when I first started um, learning about it, trying it, it felt very weird and it felt kind of awkward and silly and like, what the heck? And so we're going to dive in a little bit to describe what it means to us, what it is in layman's terms, but there's tons and tons of science behind it. I am a real science nerd when it comes to that. So it's really fun to go down that rabbit hole of reading about, watching different videos about its origin and what it does for our brain, all kinds of things. But I want us to go more into the practicality and the ease of using it. Right, Kandiee?
Yep, I think it's very important. And if you don't understand something, you're not going to get the full effect from it
Exactly.
because it's kind of like, if you have a book, you're reading part of the book. You're not going to fully understand what the book's about if you only have a small portion of knowledge on it. And
Yeah,
tapping,
exactly. And that is why I actually put exercises and um, many videos in my book to help people with that, that very thing. And most people tell me they really enjoy reading the stories and they're getting the lessons, but until you actually put things into action, it's not going to work as well for you. And we do have, it is a practice. We have to remind ourselves to actually use it. So, did you find it that way for you? That it's like, oh, I should be tapping, or I could have tapped on that a long time ago.
yeah. Well, I found I do like little taps, not, I mean, because sometimes I recognize that not everybody has 10 or 15 minutes in their day. I mean, we do, but we don't. We
Yeah.
crowd in our day. But I've started doing these short little taps, just one quick round on whatever. Maybe it's to begin the day. It just depends on what is. And it still gets me tapping. It calms my nervous system. And I can begin my day a little more centered than if I'm
Right.
waking up, not tapping, and I feel like my hair is on fire. So,
Exactly. Well, what I love, I've been learning more, speaking of science nerd, but tapping itself, even without words,
mhm,
uh, works within 10 to 90 seconds
mhm,
to bring us out of our, busy spinning thoughts in our head. One of my current instructors called it the hamster wheel in your mind, right? That
mhm.
spinning stuff. What if, oh, I should have, I couldn't have. So it's just really that part of it. Even if you're skeptical, it works. So I know I teach my clients to just use Post-it notes when they're first really learning to tune in, to just put the word tap everywhere. On the refrigerator, in a cupboard, in the drawer, in the kitchen, bathroom mirror, on your desk, screensaver on your phone, in your car, just to give you that little nudge. And you might not even listen to it, but when you need to, it'll be there, right?
But even tapping, like I tap sometimes in the car. I mean, you're driving, and there are a lot of less than ideal drivers out there, and they're doing silly things. And I'm like, oh, give me grace.
Exactly. So
Right.
yes,
You get
exactly.
someone that's just being aggressive or tailgating you, and
Uh-huh.
or you're doing your thing and they're just being themselves, and it's like, so I'll just tap on my collarbone. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, give me grace so I'm not losing my marbles here, because if you're not, you can feed into that aggressiveness, you can feed into that anger that's coming up because they're being them,
Yeah, it's energy and it is coming right through. So if you know, I always have fun telling people, look, when you're in the car, it's a really great place. First of all, you can scream and yell. You can really get some of that emotion out or the tears, whatever. But you've got that great thing where you have the urge to maybe give somebody the finger because they just cut you off or they were rude in that traffic. And you
Mhm.
can then instead give yourself the fingers because that's what it's all about. We're using our fingertips on these acupressure points on our face and bodies. Now, of course, you need to be able to hang on to the steering wheel and pay attention to what's going on. But you can simply, I love to use the side of my hand on the steering wheel when I can, or, at stop signs, stop lights, in traffic when you're not moving, you can shift to just the collarbone or all of the different points. And I think it's really, really calming to keep you in that present moment, to not worry so much. But, let's get back to actually what it is.
Okay.
How would you describe EFT tapping, just basic tapping?
I would describe it as a calming process that helps take you. I mean, I know the science of it too. I'm a science geek,
Mhm.
but I would say the calming of your stress level. We all deal with stress. We all have a certain level of anxiety that wants to pop up, no matter where we are, for depending on what we're thinking about. But tapping, it's kind of like for example, if it's really hot, you're outside, it's really hot, but you walk in and there's that nice cool breeze or a fan that comes over you, and it just kind of relaxes you, and you're like, oh, this is so pleasant.
Ah,
I-
good analogy. Oh my
It's
gosh.
like it's just a
Yeah, so, I
um,
I I think likening the idea to how you can calm down so quickly. And what that is we have this invisible energy system within us. We're all energy. If you simply rub your hands together and then move them apart, you can feel that energy within you. It can ignite sparks of that just by clapping. So it's when we're with others, we interact with that energy as well. And so
mhm,
you know how you can walk into a room and feel what's going on in there, right? So
mhm,
if we understand that that's going on, then using fingertips to tap on these meridian endpoints that run down the body on both sides, we're literally flipping a switch like an electrical disconnect from that anxious spot, that fretful worry or sadness, any type of emotion that's uh, uncomfortable can be relaxed quite quickly. So that is the basics of it. And we can use it for anything. And that's kind of a misnomer sometimes because we can't tap away things, but we can move the energy. And so
mhm,
we use it a lot in several different ways.
mhm,
Uh, for instance, the military with PTSD,
mhm,
that trauma that can be triggered so easily from soldiers returning back from being deployed can linger for a long, long time if it's not addressed, but it's been so hard to get through to that. And they finally approved, the VA finally approved using tapping. to
Mhm.
help these guys. And there's lots of information on that, lots of testimonials on that. It's used in schools for test anxiety or just for kids who don't have a solid home to be in. And athletes before, I mean, I've witnessed that. I'm watching like maybe baseball and you look over and in the dugout, there's one of the players tapping away before he gets up to bat. So it's really quite interesting how you can use it. I know physical pain, you can
Mhm.
definitely relax that. So I don't know about you, Candy, but whenever we're in pain or we're sick, we have something going on, whether it's just, having a really bad upper respiratory thing like you've just gone through, or, it can be something quite more intense, or you just threw your back out, whatever. If you tap for that, even without words, as I said before, you can lower the constriction that you have in your body. It's like we tighten up when, it's like which came first, the pain or the emotion about it, because we get really uptight about stuff sometimes. And then we get into worry and it goes into a spin, right? So that can really work fast.
I just got an idea how to. I'm gonna try this on my grandson. So when he starts getting fussy, I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna tap on, not necessarily all his meridian points, but maybe his collarbone or
Yeah,
the top of his around his eye
definitely.
and see how that works.
Definitely. I've,
Um,
I've witnessed that. It does work. It works. I've even tapped on my cat.
yeah,
So
I- yeah.
yeah, that is really, really powerful. I mean, we know what it felt like as children or what we've done with babies where we'll rub their head and, around their forehead and stuff. So we just imagine just that gentleness. And that's the thing, everybody, is that when you're tapping, it's a gentle tap with your fingertips. It's usually just two, sometimes three, but you're tapping on those points on the face and body. And as we've said, we can use just one hand
Mhm.
or both, either side. It works either way, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
And also just in one spot, which it looks like Candy and I are similar. We gravitate to that collarbone point. And it's just so easy to do that, to just calm yourself down to a bit. And what happens and it took me a while to understand this, but when we go into this triggering, it's fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, people pleasing kind of thing. And we feel it in our body somewhere.
Mhm.
When we get there, by tapping, we're allowing ourselves to come out of that brain again. It's a connection from the brain to the body, and it's pretty instant where we don't have to be in that state, because when we're in that state, we cannot think clearly. Everything goes out to the limbs, right? So that we can run or we can fight or find a place to hide or whatever to go into that survival mode. And
Mhm.
we need that. We need it. If there's a burning building, we got to be able to get out. But that should dissipate after we're out and calm down. What we know now in the world is everybody's stressed. Everybody's got this collective thing going on, and we're in constant state of stress. We're no longer in this idea of needing to run or fight. We are in a state of, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So we need tapping. We need other ways of calming ourselves, whether you're doing meditation or you're going for walks or however you do that for yourself, if you add the tapping in there too, even for 30 seconds, you'll feel that calmness.
Well, so many of us are so stressed. We don't have that downtime. We don't, we go from stress to stress to stress, which they've shown in studies and everything else. Your body is not meant to take that. But so many
Mm,
of us are so conditioned, have been so conditioned to just keep going and not having that time to let your body come down
Yeah.
out of that fight, flight, or freeze state. That and if, like you said, with the tapping, if you tap, I notice when I do tapping, like when I'm stressed about something, or maybe I'm anxious, I've got some, a lot of thoughts going through my head, and I'm going that direction of leading into things I shouldn't. If I tap, and even if it's just a quick round of tapping, I will find that I'll have those solutions or those ideas come to me
Yeah.
that I wasn't getting before, because my mind was so boggled and so stressed with what I was focusing on.
Yeah, that is so true. And it's such an amazing thing to happen. And the main idea is to understand is that our body is giving us signals all the time, and we tend to bypass whatever's going on in the body right to the thoughts in our head. So if we know that actually most of the time there's a sensation in the body before you get the thought,
Mhm.
and if we keep ignoring it, the thoughts get worse and crazier. The body begins to get louder with whatever it's signaling us for. And, Kandiee, I've spoken about this before, I've written about it, but I've seen so many women who will ignore because they're doing, giving for everyone else, and
Mhm.
not taking that time. And, your body will take you down eventually, whether it's just, getting the flu, or you have an accident and you break a bone, or you get really life-threatening illness and disease. It's going to happen. And for a long time, I just thought it was because they weren't getting sleep, people doing too much, were just going, and then suddenly you can't. Well, your body says, now you have an excuse, you have a reason to tell people you can't do something because I'm not letting you go anywhere. And, it's not you never want to feel guilty about that happening to you. Take it as, a wake up call, like, okay, I haven't been paying attention. What's going on? Right. And, you and I, and many coaches and therapists dive into the root reasons for that, because it's way deeper than the basic tapping. We get into talking to our inner selves, our younger selves, that shadow side of us that we don't want to look at, and giving her permission to speak, right? So if you do the tapping, it gets you out of your brain for even a moment so you can think clearly. And suddenly an epiphany may come up, like, oh, maybe this is what I need to do.
And sometimes I found that, like you were talking about that inner child and stuff, if you start tapping even for a quick round, that calms usually that raging child. For me, it's a 3-year-old, that, and I
Yeah,
can tell when she's trying to get in charge of driving the car, and I'm like, I'll
right.
tap, and then she's like, she relaxes down, and I'm like, then I can say, you know what, the adult part of me, the adult part of us will take care of this. You go be a child. And if I tap, she is more inclined to
Yeah,
go with the steering
yeah.
wheel. Whereas if I'm not tapping, she's trying to drive, I'm trying to drive, that doesn't work.
Yes, she's trying to run the show. She's so afraid for you that something's going to happen. She's being alerted to this fear, not because of what's happening in front of you, but because of something that happened that she has the memory of. And she's made a vow to absolutely protect you from ever getting hurt again. And
Mhm.
so when we can do some tapping, we literally allow her to feel comforted and safe because you're back in your body. You can even press your feet into the floor, or go outside and put them in the grass, but you're allowing her to feel safe. I like to work with my clients around that and have them help this part of them have a new job and get their attention in a different way. stop punching me in the stomach or grabbing me by the throat or making my head pound. Give me a different way, give me a different signal, because this part of you is desperate to be heard. And I've been so shocked at how fast it works. Like you just start with, okay, what's going on? What do I need to know? And it's all more calm all of a sudden. And you might not hear the answer or feel the answer. Some of you are visual, some of you, most of us will just feel it. We'll sense it. And it might not come right away. It might be later in the day or the next day. You'll have this incredible download of, oh, that's what that was. Or you can start tapping and just ask, like, okay, am I tired? No, I'm good. Well, am I hungry? Oh, I didn't eat lunch. Or I need water. It can be that simple. Or it's just like, oh my God, I've got to go take a walk. I haven't been outside, and my little inner child needs a walk. It
Mhm.
can be things like that, right?
Like you were talking about, that your body gives signals and starts talking to you. So oftentimes it's in a slow whisper, and if you don't listen, I am one of those. I am that case. I didn't listen to my body. My body was crying out because it was in so much, it had so much discomfort in it. And I am a person that got hit with a major health diagnosis. And it was, it came at a time that, I mean, it was at the same time I lost my mother. So I got hit with a double whammy, but it stopped me kind of in my tracks and made me really have to stop and evaluate the direction I was going. I either had to change things and do something different, or I was doomed to kind of go the direction my mom had gone. She had been on dialysis because she'd lost a kidney. She had kidney cancer. So hers was, but with my kidney disease, I was going that same direction. And
Oh,
I
wow. Yeah.
get that you need to, like you said, your body will make you stop.
Yeah.
It will. I mean, if you don't heed the screams and the warnings that, if you keep driving and you keep going past stop, warning, warning, you'll hit that brick wall, so to speak, because
Exactly.
you need to, your body is not meant to carry that much stress all the time. So if you're not doing something that alleviates that stress, you can tap, you can breathe, you can meditate, you can do all of them. I do
Right.
those now, and my kidney disease has slowed down. I haven't had a decline in my kidneys for 3 visits, so 3, 6, 9 months. I mean, it's,
Oh,
stabilized, and I'm grateful for that. I mean,
yeah.
it's still, had I listened to my body when it was first starting to scream at me, I may not be as far back in as in a deficit as I am now, but I'm thankful that
Yeah.
implementing tools and finding things that just kind of said, you need to wake up, listen to me.
Yeah. And that, it makes me think about how when we're working with people and we're asking them to um, get down into their body, come out of their heads and start to feel. And the way that becomes safe is by tapping while you're doing it. And, sometimes I'll just have them tap on the collarbones or a hand on the heart and tap where you're just feeling safe enough to feel into the body. Do a body scan from head to toe. Where is the discomfort, the unease, the pain, the sensation? My favorite, it's interesting because one of my current instructors in an advanced class I'm in has coined it. Actually, she's trademarked it over in England, mind body tapping. Well, I've been doing that with clients for a very long time and I didn't have a name for it. So sometimes I give it another name like shadow tapping or mind body shadow tapping, right? But it's the idea of knowing that you're connecting the sensations in the body and your feelings with the emotions. because
Mhm.
that's where it's coming from. And, you know my book about the chakras, and I liken it to a house and every level of the house kind of thing. But if you can understand that and know, like, oh, that's right around in my chest, that's kind of my heart area. Well, what's going on there? What's the emotion? Often it's grief, sadness, that kind of thing, right? So
Mhm.
there's different things that will come up depending on where in the body, or it'd be a couple different places that are talking to each other. I just was with somebody the other day, and it was her just yesterday, her belly and her throat. Well, deep down in the second chakra, all the needs and wants and desires are all gnarled up with the negative emotions of anger and sadness and loss and frustration, anxiety, right? They're all there, but she couldn't talk about it. She couldn't speak about it. It was definitely connected. It's a big connection there. So in the tapping, the throat pain went away first. It was like clenched. And then we got to the belly. And within a couple rounds, it was gone, all of it. So this
Mm.
is what I mean, guys. This is how powerful this is. And sometimes you don't even expect that it's going to work. You're just going to calm yourself down and okay, I'll be okay if I walk around with this back pain, I'll be okay. And I won't fret about it. Well, guess what? Suddenly, when you check back in with your body, it's less. It's like, oh, it's not as pounding tight, painful now. Oh, it's less. We'll keep going. You literally can soften that. I
Yep.
don't mean we can cure cancer, but we can definitely cure the emotions around how you feel about that cancer.
And
And I've watched
also
it over and over how people get better because of it.
you can also cure the negative emotion you feel, the fear that's coming as a
Yes.
result of whether it doesn't matter the diagnosis. If you have fear driven emotion that's driving you, that feeds, that takes all that fear. And yes, it's a thought. Your body sends everything, all its white cells, everything to fight that thought. It is a
Yep.
thought.
Yep.
And so you actually deplete your body for, because we do have viable threats in our body, things that are running
Yes.
rampant. And if your body is sending everything to fight a thought, fear, thought, whatever,
Yeah.
it depletes it to fight the actual threats that are evolving or
Right.
currently in your body. So tapping can make a huge difference. If you alleviate that fear, if you start tapping, you can calm that fear. The fear can subside. Your body can get back into its normal rhythm and help fight the things that, if you're constantly in a state of fight, flight, or freeze, you're not going to be able to ward off. Your body is, as it gets out of balance because it's fighting something that isn't a viable threat
Yeah.
because thought.
Yeah. So even if you're skeptical about that, if you just start tapping and you can just say, I'm open to seeing how this works for me. I'm open to allowing some healing. And I love it. One of my mentor teachers, Colette Baron Reed, says, I'm open to be open. Like just start there. I'm open to be open to allowing this to help me move some of this. And going back to the idea of in your body, identifying where that's coming from, and okay, where are the sensations? Am I just tingling in my hands, or is it numbness? Is it this thing in my belly? So again, I'll just refer to this woman yesterday who I asked her, okay, can you describe it? Give me, shape, color. Does it even have a scent, or, what's going on there? Could it even be a person, archetypal figure, an animal? What? So she described this like deep, dark, multi-tone, brownish, blackish thing that felt like a knot, like a big knot. And the more she got into describing it, the more vivid it got. But as we worked on it, she realized, Kandiee, how we work with in coaching, we'll keep going with different questions, but
Mhm.
she realized, like, when was the first time you might have felt this way? And how do you feel about feeling like that, right? And we went back, of course, to a younger self. And this time it was around her first marriage. Because of everything that had happened to her with a tough situation growing up,
Mhm.
she attracted more of that into marriage number one and two before she, it's a beautiful time right now. But she saw that, and this whole thing came around worrying about her current husband because she couldn't accept his compliments. I mean, it was just the most convoluted situation that she didn't quite believe that he could actually love her as much as he does. She didn't feel worthy of that. And it all stemmed all the way back. And when she saw that, she realized, how she was tightening up around that. But as we tapped, and we got rid of the thing in the throat first and then softened the belly and kept going, she was then open to accept and receive. She'd just been walled off her whole life because she was never given that before. And
Mm.
here she is, she's 70 years old. And for the first time, she is letting that in, allowing herself to be herself, not hide her pain, to I just think it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and it happens over and over again. So, guys, I know this is so general for you through our video, but give yourself permission to just check in with yourself. Oh, what is that about? What is this feeling that I'm having? And it's like in my neck or my head or my shoulders, whatever. Just kind of check in, tap at the same time. You don't even have to know how, if you just kind of go to a spot. I'm always showing you the collarbone points because it's easy, but you can go to my website. You can download the free guide that has a video and the guide there for you. I might make a note to post that link here, post the link for Kandiee and her podcast, do all of it. But give yourself permission to be open to understanding that not only are we connecting the mind and the body, we are connecting spirit and body. It's mind, body, spirit. And when you tune in, you're tuning in not only to your lower self that's bringing you these negative emotions, but also your higher self that allows you to observe all of this and be calm. It's quite powerful.
And your body knows exactly what it needs. We just get our head gets in the way of telling us one thing. Whereas if you listen to your heart, like I always tell my clients, I'm like, if you make a decision and you feel like you have to do something, tune into your heart. Your
Yeah.
heart's not going to lead you astray. Now, your head may, because it's trying to keep you safe. The brain's job is to protect us. But
Hmm.
if you listen to your heart and your heart says, you need to relax, you
Hmm.
need to, you need to let go. That's a lot of that message I've been getting from myself. It's let go and self care. And
Exactly. Because that is self-love, which we have not given ourselves much. We have a hard time with that.
mhm,
And it's comes from our upbringing and society and teaching and all the other stuff. And we don't realize how much of that subconscious decision is in there with us all the time. And, stop, take a breath, do a little tapping, and just check in with your body and say, I hear you.
yeah.
What do you want to tell me? Look around to say, what do I need to see or hear or feel? All of that. You'll be able to give yourself comfort in no time.
And
And I,
you'll
I would part with one thing, that if you're really stressed, if you're really anxious and you're kind of up there, we do the SUD scale and you're up at 10 or above, you can start tapping as fast as you're thinking Because that's what I know that helped me when I was dealing with so much stress at one point. I would just, oh my God, I'm so stressed. I can't believe this. I'm so frustrated. As soon as you do that, you'll start to feel your body shift and you'll feel that sigh or something, and you can slow down and feel that happen. It's a miracle.
Tapping is truly a gift, and I recommend it, because it is truly a wonderful tool to have in your invisible tool belt. It's one of those things I help my listeners with, I help my clients with, and I'm like, just tap, even if it's just collarbone. Because you can be in a meeting, you can be at work, and you can just tap on your collarbone. You don't have to necessarily tap on your eyebrow points in a meeting.
Yes,
But if you're feeling
exactly.
stress or anxiety, you're at work, or maybe you're sitting at your desk and you're reading something, or you get an email that just is triggering you. Before you respond, just tap. Go to your
Yeah.
collarbone or your
You can even
hand.
just rub that point, you just touch on it, and I've shown you viewers before how to use the side of the hand underneath the desk, underneath the table at lunch, wherever. I
Yeah,
did it in the intensive care, just leaning in as I was sitting there, putting in my hands between my legs and just doing it that way. I mean, I think I was a tapping machine back in those days. Once that was introduced to me, I'm like, oh my God, I got it. But yeah, just do it. Please, you can comment here. You can send either of us messages, um, email, DMs, all over social media for me with @coaching. First Day with My New Mouth, @Coach Sandy Evenson. And Candy, are you on all the socials now? What's your
I'm on Instagram. It's the Awaken Hope Show, or
Oh,
Awaken.
yes.
Um,
Look
yeah,
for Awaken Hope. You'll find all of
if
that.
you look up Awaken Hope, you will find my picture. You will find my website, theawakenhopeshow.com, and I have each of my episodes and stuff. And I will be, if Sandy's amenable, I will be hosting Sandy to come on, and we'll talk about this, and we'll talk about tapping and go through a process in the process of our
Yeah,
episode.
demonstrate the full thing. That would be awesome. I would love to do that.
Yeah,
I so appreciate you, Candy, that, we're helping each other. And by doing that, we can help who knows how many people we are helping just by doing this. I mean, that's our purpose, right? For each of us and individually and together. Let's change the world, because when you work on yourself, you change millions of other people. You may never know about it, but you do. You're changing the energy. It's phenomenal.
me
So
too. I'll be back with Sandy next week, and we'll continue this conversation and continue the exploration of tapping or EFT, because it truly is an amazing tool, and I really highly recommend it. Because if you want to live a better life, it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter what you've experienced. You're going for it, because we can't change the past, and the future's yet to be determined, but what you do now is going to give you that future. So if you want to have a better
yes.
future, begin now with calming your nervous system, begin with tapping. Just lower yourself, lower your body, not physically
Mm,
lower, but lower the intensity that your body's feeling, and the stress level that feels
yeah.
like your eyes are going to pop out of your sockets, and your head's hurting and stuff. Because
Exactly. Like I said, people, 10 to 90 seconds.
Mhm.
Give yourself that moment, you know? All right. So thank you once again. Appreciate everybody being here, and we'll be back with another one next week.
All right.